Hey, so I wanted to share a story with you of the vacation from hell that has lived in infamy with my family, and it always comes up over the holidays and every time we get together. So I was going to be a senior in high school, and my dad had gotten a 1972 Lincoln Mark IV. Now, mind you, this is the summer of 1987. And so my dad had talked to his sister, who they bought a new Lincoln like every 2 or 3 years or whatever. They owned the coal mines, and so they always had nice cars and things like that. But this particular car had sat for years, and I guess Dad just thought it was too nice to sit there and basically rot or whatever. So somehow he got the car. I never got the details of that, but of how that happened. But so anyway, I pull into the driveway after I've been out playing basketball or something like that, and I see this Lincoln Continental sitting there. I mean, and this car was it was like 20 feet long. It was a boat. But I saw this car. I was like, man, that looks familiar. And so I got to looking at it, and I thought, oh, it can't be. So I get out of the car, and Dad's got the hood up on it, and it's dark, and he's messing under the hood, which, Dad was always one of those guys to always fix his own vehicles, and hardly ever, unless it was something crazy bad, he normally wouldn't take it to a garage. And so he's under the hood working on this thing, and so I hop out, and I can smell fresh paint, and I look at this car, and I'm like, is this the same car? And so I walk up and say, what are you doing, Dad? And he said, hey, putting some Freon in this air conditioner. He said, just got the car back. He said, just got it painted, and it's got a nice pinstripe on it. He said, we're going to take it, when we go to Daytona tomorrow. It's like, oh, wow. So this is going to be an awesome trip, because that car has a lot more room than the other vehicle we had. So anyway, hello, Mr. Train. So I go in, and I hear this noise outside, this and so Mom is upstairs packing, and she yells down for me to check and see what Dad had gotten into out there. And so I go out, and there's this cloud of whatever hanging over the engine compartment, and I said, what happened, Dad? And he said, oh, I put Freon in the damn wrong port. And he said, I think I blew it up. I don't know. Hopefully I can figure it out, or it's going to be a hot trip. Of course, like I said, this is the summer of 1987, and it is hot. It's, July, because we usually went down on 4th of July weekend. So we start out the next day, and sure enough, no air conditioner. And my brothers were house cats. They're both younger than me by 5 and 7 years, but they were both 11 pounds growing up, or when they were born. So they were big kids, and it was just the three of us. Here I am, about 6'2", 170 pounds or whatever, and we're all sitting in the back of this car, shoulder to shoulder basically. And so that didn't last very long. We were already sweating, and plus we had our dog with us, and we were going to drop it off at my mom's sister in Johnson City, Tennessee. So we pull in and drop the dog off, and my mom sees a penny lying on the driveway, and it was heads up, and she's like, oh, that's good luck. So she picks this penny up, and she goes, Raj, I just found a penny, heads up, we're going to have good luck. I said, well, that's good, or whatever. So before we even get out of town, and mind you, I forgot to mention this, my mom and dad's friend, Denny and Eileen, went with us, thank God. But they had a Lincoln Town Car, and it was just them. And so we started out from my aunt and uncle's in Johnson City after we dropped the dog off. Well, Dad goes to hit the brakes and they go to the floor. So he keeps like pumping it up or whatever, and he's like, damn, I had these brakes, brake lines redone and everything on this thing. What in the world? So Mom's like, what are we gonna do? And he goes, we'll worry about it when we get down there. We're not gonna be in too many towns. We're gonna be on the interstate. He said, this is Dad, I'll use the emergency brake. So, okay. Gonna use the emergency brake on this 8,000 pound boat. So anyway, we get on our way, and of course it's roasting in that car. Black leather, fresh black paint smell in the car. They've got their windows rolled down, and we are miserable in the back. And so the next time we stop to get gas, Dad asks if one of us can hop over in the car with Denny and Eileen, and so I volunteered. I was like, yes. So I got my Walkman and my tape deck and my mixtapes and all that, jump in the back of their car. So I'm kind of doze off in the back seat, and I hear this commotion up front, and Denny and Eileen are like, when is he gonna stop? And so I kind of raise up and I'm like, what's going on? And so we are about to run out of gas, and we cannot get your dad to stop. We keep coming up beside of him. We keep holding our sign, saying we need to stop, need to get gas. And I guess she had written on something with lipstick or something, to try to get his attention. And so Dad would just, kind of wave and nod and, and keep on going, and they would keep passing the exit. So finally she writes something that says, going to run out, we need to stop. So they, it's kind of like Talladega. We were on the interstate, so they tuck back in behind Dad and like in the draft on the interstate. And next thing I see is this big gigantic plume of smoke coming out of the back, like something out of James Bond, and this boom. And so Dad just kind of limps this car off to the shoulder. And so he gets out, we kind of pull him behind him there, and he's out there scratching his head. And then he hops down, and he's like, Hunk, what's wrong? My dad's nickname was Hunky. That could be a whole other video. So, well, the brakes went out. He said, so I've been using the emergency brake. And he said, I had the cruise control on. I didn't even think that you have to engage the brake to turn the cruise control off. And so then he's like, oh. He said, yeah. He said, so whenever I hit the brakes, he said, more brake fluid bled out. He said, and it wasn't engaging. So he said, I ended up just having to turn the damn car off and throw it up into neutral. He goes, then it just backfired. He said, I hope it didn't blow the engine. So anyway, that's the only way he could get it stopped. So, he's just like, well, let's just keep going. Let's go. So they stop, get gas or whatever, and so we continue on. And Mom, after a while, she tells me that, she tells Dad, what is that noise? I hear a noise out there. Because, well, I didn't hear nothing. And, of course, he's probably got the stereo cranked up. He's playing Gary Stewart or something. And so he turns it down and he goes, oh, that sounds like a wheel bearing going out. So they stop in this little town to check it out and see what's going on with it. And as we're going through the town, I think it was Spartanburg, he pulls up to a stoplight and the car quits. The battery was dead. So, of course, everybody behind us are honking the horn, and this is on a Sunday that we left. So no parts stores were open back then. Nothing was open back in those days on Sundays. So Dad gets out, pops the hood, and there's people blowing the horn, and that used to burn him up. He was like, what do you want me to do? Car won't start or whatever. So anyway, Denny pulls up behind us, and he hops out, and me and my brothers and Dad and Denny pushed this car off into the parking lot of a hotel. So Dad's like, I don't know what in the world is going on. He said, didn't even give me any indication the battery was running down. He said, but evidently the alternator or voltage regulator or something's gone out. So they pull off, or they get, we're in this parking lot. He said, let's just stay here. I'll see what's going on with this wheel bearing. And we just, we stayed for the night. So I go to the little arcade or whatever that was in this hotel and come back and go by the parking lot, and I look over there and Danny and Dad are sitting in the parking lot and have the entire right side back wheel pulled off the car. That axle is lying in the parking lot, and sure enough, one of the bearings has gone bad in it. So Dad's like, I don't know what to do. So anyway, the next morning, he and Danny go to the parts store. They get a new wheel bearing. They fix that, put the thing back together. And Dad buys a new alternator for it, and I guess gets the tools or whatever to put that thing on, and they fix it. So we go on down the road, and the battery goes out again. And so, turns out it was a voltage regulator. And for some reason, it wasn't letting the battery charge. And Dad has this idea, well, let's just switch batteries. So, they end up taking the battery from Denny's car that's charged, put it in our car, put ours in his to charge it up, and then when ours run down, they would switch them out again. So we did this the whole rest of the way. Now, we get down there, and by that point, Dad is just, he's not saying anything, he's very quiet, and he basically just goes out and sits on this wall looking out at the ocean, like jeans, everything. He doesn't put any shorts on. He's about to have a nervous breakdown. So, we're down there. My brothers are having a ball. My cousin was actually down there and had asked if I wanted to go to Disney with him and his family, my dad's brother's family. And I was like, well, yeah, sure. Just stop and pick me up on the way through. So they did, and I went down there, and we spent the day at Disney, and we came back, and they dropped me off. And I walk into the hotel room, and it's got this fresh paint smell in there. And I asked Mom, I was like, Mom, what is going on? She goes, don't say anything. Your brothers were wrestling on the bed, and Kylie threw Brandon through the wall. I said, what do you mean through the wall? She goes, he was lying in the bathroom floor. Oh. She goes, your dad doesn't know. She goes, I went and talked to Mickey, and I said, Mickey, we're going to have to go. We're going to have to leave early. This trip took every dime we've got. This car has been a nightmare. We're just going to have to go. My boys have put a hole through your wall, and my husband is going to start walking out into the water and not come back. That's the point he's at right now. So Mickey is this cool guy. It was the Mackay, is the hotel we stayed at. And, surfer guy, we just loved him, so that's why we kept going back. And so he's like, no, Linda, don't worry about it. We've got a little, fix-it cart. He said this place is a hotbed for kids coming down here for spring break. He said we fix stuff all the time, don't worry about it. So his little crew comes in there, they put all this stuff on the wall, they patch it, they paint it, and then they're out of there. And meanwhile, Dad just keeps sitting out there. So he comes back in. He's like, what is that smell? And so Mom's like, honey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They said that they had to do some touch-up stuff from spring break earlier. They just were getting around to this room, and had to do some touch-up paint, stuff like that. That's all it was. They repainted that wall or whatever, and he was like, oh, okay. So anyway, Dad, he finds out that it's the voltage regulator on this car, buys that, puts it on, and, so we think, he still never got the brakes fixed. So we start on the way back, and, in the Carolinas, you've got all these big old mountains. So whenever we got to that point, they had stopped to get gas, and Denny was like, Hunk, I don't know if you need to be, have them kids in the car with no brakes on those mountains. He goes, well, yeah, you got a point there. He said, that'd be less weight in there. Just if they can ride with you, that'd be good. So Dad drives this car across those mountains, and this was before like a lot of it was the interstate. It was a lot of up and down, side roads, things like that to get down there, and he did it anyway. And so then Denny's car starts overheating on the way back. So we didn't know if we were going to make it back or not, since we didn't have one solid car to get us back. But we limped home, got back there. And so to kind of finish off this story, which I know it's been a long one, Dad wants me to go grab something that he needed, and the only place that was open, because we came back on a Sunday, the only place that was open was over in the next little town close to us, which is about a 10-minute drive. And so Dad had bought another vehicle off of his brother or his brother-in-law and sister. It was one of the first Jeep Cherokee trucks, like the Gladiator like trucks. And my cousins had put like racing headers on this engine, and it sounded awesome. But this truck had been wrecked. And so like the driver's side looked awesome. Passenger side was, in the process of being fixed. It was like primered and all this stuff, but it had like awesome wheels on it. And I mean, it sounded like you pulling straight out of the pits at Bristol or something. And so I loved driving it. So anyway, I tell him, I'll take the Jeep. I'll run over there and grab what you need. So I get over there, pick up what he needed. I'm coming back, and I see these like cars coming at me, like waving and pointing. I'm like, I don't know these people. What is going on? And so then like another car does it, and the guy kind of slows down, and he's like pointing at the bottom of my truck. And so I kind of slow down, and he's mouthing fire, fire. And so I pull off the road, jump out and look, and sure enough, fire is coming out from the bottom of this engine compartment. I'm like, what in the hell? And so Dad, I'm thinking, God, he's gonna die when he finds this out. Luckily, that gentleman, the last guy that flagged me over, I'd pulled over by a creek, so we ran down and got water and like threw it up. Of course, water and oil don't mix, but we ended up getting the fire out, and before it burnt the thing up. And so I have to walk across this creek and use somebody's phone, and I'm like, Dad, yeah, so the Jeep it caught on fire on the way back. Of course, Dad's like, what? This is his trademark response. He said, what? I'm like, yeah, I said the engine compartment caught fire. I guess oil was leaking on the headers or something. I don't know. I'll be damned. So he drives over there, tells me to hop in the other car. I'm like, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm going to drive it. Can't afford to have towed. And so he drives this Jeep home after it already caught fire once. And it's smoking big time when we pull in the driveway. So he pulls it on down the road and stops at this little pull off down from the house so it doesn't burn everything up. But yeah, so that was like the end, like the final chapter of the week from hell. And I'm shocked that my dad didn't have a nervous breakdown. I mean, he legit was about that close. but that was legitimately the vacation from hell. And yeah, he until he passed 6 years ago, we brought that up at least once a year, and he would laugh, but he would just sit there and shake his head, because I think he probably had tried to repress it from his memory after all this time, because I didn't know if he was going to see that one through. So anyway, I know it was a long one. It's like 20 minutes, but thanks. It's a great memory for us now. It wasn't then. Thanks.